For a professional wrestler, one of the most important parts of their presentation is their finishing move. Now, I want to see, when you compare some of the greatest WWE finishers of all time, where do they rank next to each other? Well, that's what I aim to find out in today's video. Before we get into that, though, if you are new here, make sure to go down below, drop a like, and subscribe. I post multiple wrestling videos every single week to keep you lot entertained. But with that being said, let's get into the video. So, as you'll now see on screen, we have our tiers. We have GOAT, we have Over, as Vince McMahon would say. We have Meh, Not For Me, and Trash. And to start things off, I want to talk about arguably the biggest wrestler of all time, John Cena, and his finisher, the Attitude Adjustment, or FU. Now, with the AA being Cena's finisher, it's obviously been a part of some incredible moments. I mean, this one in particular, when he picked up the Big Show and Edge at WrestleMania. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, he beat The Rock with this move at WrestleMania. Like, the move is iconic. However, the move itself, I think it's... Is it trash? I mean, it is just what a fireman's carry slam. Like, it's not... I don't know. I don't think it's... How do I word this? I don't know how to word it. I think for as iconic as John Cena is, his finishing move isn't that iconic. You know what? I'm going to put it in Not For Me, because I don't think it's trash, because it gave us some memorable moments just like that. But to say that John Cena is arguably the most famous wrestler of all time, for that to be his finishing move, I don't know. Now let's move on to Triple H and the pedigree. Now with the pedigree, it's tough, because I think you can kind of split it into two categories. Before he would unhook the arms and after, when he had to unhook the arms. If you give me Triple H's pedigree back in the day, back in the 90s, where he was hooking them arms all the way down to the ground, I think it's What a Maneuver. But it was always kind of lost for me later on when he would unhook the arms, because it's like the entire point of this movie is that you're hooking the arms and then you're drilling them all the way down into the ground. Like, it just unhooking the arms, I know it had to be done for people to be able to actually protect themselves, but it ruined it a bit for me, and I kind of have to put it in Not For Me for that aspect. If you're talking original pedigree, you can go in What a Maneuver, but the unhooking the arms and the guys having the arms back there and then, no, it's not for me. We're talking about a lot of guys from this era, but now I want to go for the Batista Bomb. I actually think this is comparable to Cena's AA in that the Batista Bomb is iconic. However, when I think of powerbomb finishers, I don't think the Batista Bomb ranks up there as one of the best. I mean, the fact it was a sit-out powerbomb just made it always look less impactful. I mean, compare it to, like, The Undertaker's Last Ride, or even a Kevin Nash jackknife. I wouldn't say it's Not For Me, but it's going in Meh. Next, we come to The Undertaker's Tombstone. I think the Tombstone is one of the best suited finishers to a wrestler I've ever seen. For The Undertaker, for his character, the Tombstone was always just spot on. That is his move. The other side of it is, it looked absolutely brutal. Like as a kid, I'm thinking these guys are getting spiked on their head. Obviously, as an adult, I know they're not. But as a kid, it was like, Jesus Christ. I think the only thing that kind of lets it down is probably something that shouldn't let it down. It's the fact that you can't try it at home. I've moved it up to What a Maneuver. It might have to go up to GOAT. But what I mean by you can't try it at home is that with other wrestling moves, you know, growing up with your friends on the trampoline, you can try other moves. With the Tombstone, first of all, it's very difficult to get your friends into that position. A lot of explaining's required. But second of all, it's like you are going to potentially paralyze your best friend for life if you do it. So I think that kind of let it down, but you know, I can't really criticize it for that, can I? It's a goated finisher. And speaking of goated finishers, I'm going to go as far as to say the greatest finisher of all time, the RKO. The RKO suited Randy Orton down to the ground. It was definitively his move. The reason being because what is Randy Orton's character? He's a viper, he's a snake, he slithers in, and they catch you out of nowhere. That's what snakes do, and that's exactly what the RKO does. It would slide in, slither in like a snake, and then catch you out of nowhere and take you out. You know, moves should be representative of the character you're trying to portray, and the RKO is exactly that for Randy Orton. Not to mention, I would say it's arguably the most famous finisher of all time. I mean, the RKO out of nowhere meme was massive. You know, Vine back in my day was just filled with RKO out of nowhere memes. And growing up, like I said, the one criticism I had about, you know, The Undertaker's Tombstone Tombstone is that you couldn't do it to your friends. Everyone back in the day was RKOing their friends, whether they were wrestling fans or not. People at school were just running around RKOing each other out of nowhere. Growing up, playing wrestling on the trampoline, everyone wanted to be Randy Orton because they wanted to do the RKO. The RKO is a goated finisher, and for as simple as it is perfect. I could not think of a better finishing move. And that's without me even having to mention the iconic moments that have come as a result of RKOs. I mean, the Seth Rollins one at Mania 31, the Evan Bourne one is the famous one. Greatest of all time, by far. In a similar vein to the RKO, I'm going to bring up the Stone Cold Stunner. Now, the Stunner as a move, I really like. I think a big part of the Stunner can be who's taking the move, because some people can take great Stunners and some people can't, and that really affects how impactful the move looks. You know, when we compare it to a similar move in the RKO, I don't think Randy Orton's ever gave a bad RKO. Even a bad RKO looks good. A bad Stunner looks really bad, and guys like Stone Cold and Kevin Owens have given plenty of bad Stunners. I think when done right, a Stunner looks great, but can I put it in GOAT when it's so dependent on who's taking the move? I think it goes in what a maneuver, because it is great. The setup with the kick to the abdomen is, again, just a nice touch. It is a good move. I just don't think it's on the level of a Tombstone or an RKO, and that's probably controversial to say, but I stand by it. Now we come on to the Clothesline from Hell. Now, this could be quite controversial. I love the Clothesline from Hell. I'm putting it straight in what a maneuver. JBL would absolutely decapitate people with the Clothesline from Hell. To say that it was just a clothesline, it looked like a clothesline that could end a match. You know, to be able to take such a basic move in a clothesline and make it look like a match-ending move is impressive, and I think that's full credit to JBL. Not all lariat and clothesline finishers are created equal, and I don't think 99% of lariat and clotheslines can be finishers, but the Clothesline from Hell is the example of the 1%. I think the Clothesline from Hell is what Okada wishes the Rainmaker was, and I stand by that. That's probably quite controversial. The Clothesline from Hell is better than Okada's Rainmaker by far. Not saying JBL's a better wrestler than Okada, although I actually would. I'd probably argue I think JBL is one of the most underrated wrestlers of all time. Now I come to the Rock Bottom. The Rock Bottom's a tricky one for me because, well, I'm not a fan of The Rock. I never really have been. I never liked him growing up, especially in the, you know, early 2010s. I was always a Cena guy. And as far as the Rock Bottom, I kind of think it's a worse bookend. I mean, does it look better than a bookend? Maybe. I mean, this image that I've used for it is absolutely iconic, and The Rock really made the Rock Bottom look great, but it's just not for me. I just don't think I can sit here and say I love the Rock Bottom as a finishing move. I honestly don't think I can. I don't think I can put it above the Pedigree or the Attitude Adjustment. I'm sure some people love the Rock Bottom and I'll put it in what a maneuver, or some people probably even put it in GOAT, but for me personally, like specifically in my opinion, it's not for me. Following on from that, we go to Shawn Michaels' Sweet Chin Music. I actually straight away want to put this next to the Clothesline from Hell in a similar vein that it is just a super kick. The same way that the Clothesline from Hell is just a clothesline. But with Shawn Michaels, you knew when he hit Sweet Chin Music, the match was over. Shawn Michaels took a basic move and made it iconic, similarly to JBL. Can I honestly say that Sweet Chin Music's better than a Stunner? I don't know that I can. Is it more iconic? Maybe. Maybe for people my age or people in my generation, it's more iconic. I mean, the setup was always great as well. The tuning up the band in the corner. Similarly to the RKO, it also had the ability to come out of nowhere. Maybe it can go at the top. I don't know. I am going to move it to the top just because I think I personally prefer it to a Stunner. But you can have them two either way. And I'm sure, again, with these two, a lot of people will have them in GOAT as well. Now, with this list, I did want to include a submission finisher. I wasn't sure what to put in. I was kind of torn between, you know, Chris Jericho's Lion Tamer or the Walls of Jericho. I mean, they are slightly different moves, but you get the gist. Or Bret Hart's Sharpshooter. And I ended up going with Bret Hart's Sharpshooter just because I think the Sharpshooter is more iconic. And I think anyone that grew up, you know, wrestling your friends knows that being put in the Sharpshooter was absolutely brutal. I almost want to put the Sharpshooter in GOAT because for submission finishers, is there a more iconic submission finisher than the Sharpshooter? You could maybe argue Ric Flair's figure 4 if you're of a certain generation. But I think the sharpshooter, it is just great. Now we're going to come to a man who is definitely in my top 2 wrestlers of all time with a great finishing move, AJ Styles with the Styles Clash. Now the Styles Clash is such a good finisher in the fact that it's so unique. I mean, we really, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think before the Styles Clash we'd seen anything like it. I certainly hadn't. You know, when I was growing up, I watched TNA a lot growing up. I make no secret of that. The Styles Clash was so unique to me and looked so cool. The only downside that goes along with it is how dangerous it is. And I used this specific photo of Styles giving it to Ellsworth where he nearly broke his neck. I mean, plenty of guys have broke their necks on Styles Clash. Yoshitatsu did. For how iconic it is and how much it suited AJ's character and how brutal it looked, it definitely has to go into the top of what a maneuver. But I don't know if I can put it in GOAT based on the fact that it could end someone's career if done incorrectly. I mean, you could say the same about the Tombstone, but I think there's a lot more control involved in a Tombstone rather than a Styles Clash. I don't know. I really want to put it in GOAT. I mean, maybe I am really trying to be unbiased, because if I had it my way, it'd be top of GOAT. But I'm trying to be unbiased and not go that far, and maybe I'm going too far the other way. I'm not sure, but I'm going to leave it in what maneuver. Let me know in the comments if I've been too harsh or have I been too generous with that. Now, with our penultimate finishing move, we have Jeff Hardy's Swanton Bomb, or just any Swanton Bomb in general. Because when I think of guys who used the Swanton Bomb, I mean, Jeff Hardy used it famously. He's I would say, was he the originator of the Swanton Bomb? Definitely the person that made it most famous. But I mean, even guys like Kevin Owens, Sin Cara even used, you know, the Swanton Bomb, and it still looked great. I think it kind of has to go in what a maneuver. Where it goes is a tough one. I think I put it there in between Sweet Chin Music and the Stunner. It suited Jeff Hardy perfectly in the fact he's a reckless high flyer. And like I touched on, there's no one that does a bad Swanton Bomb, at least not that I've seen. Jeff Hardy has absolutely, you know, brutalised people with it. Well, I believe he calls it a crouton bomb when he it up. But, yeah, even guys like Sin Cara made the Swanton Bomb look great. KO makes the Swanton look great. And now you got guys like Liam Slater who use the Swanton 450, which is just unbelievable. I think it has to go in what a maneuver, but I'm sure some people would put it higher. And finally, we come to the spear. Now, the spear's a tough one. And the reason it's a tough one is because I almost feel like for every great spear, there's a not so great spear. For every Roman Reigns, there's a Jey Uso. For every Braun Breaker, there's an Edge. And for some people, I know that there's loads of people who love Edge's spear. I'm not one of them. It looks like he hugs them and falls over. It's never been for me. I always loved the setup where he's running his hands through his hair, but the actual move itself was never really for me. Now, if you want to talk about Rhino's gore, I'd put that in GOAT, but we're not. We're talking about the spear. Two completely different moves. And I think because there's so many people who use the spear, and for every good one, like a Goldberg, a Reigns, Breaker, I mean, I've touched on them. There are bad ones like a Jey Uso, like an Edge, like a Christian. I think it is almost the definition of a meh move, because it's not iconic to any one wrestler specifically. And different wrestlers, different variations could go in any of the categories. But that is my list. Surprisingly, we had no trashes today. That is going to about wrap things up for today's video, though. Make sure to go down below in the comments and let me know what you think of the finishers we talked about in this video. I check every single comment. I read all of them. So please make sure you let me know. Have your voice heard. While you're down there as well, make sure to drop a like and subscribe, as I said earlier in the video. But that's it from me. I've took up enough of your time. So I'll see you all next time.